TV here, a bit of special here. We've got Steve Lillis, Box Nation, and James Hernandez, Total Boxing TV.
Hello.
Right, you might remember James Hernandez from the Google Hangout we used to do together, correct?
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah, good to see you again.
Good to see you again, my friend.
Thank you.
And Steve Lillis, thank you so much.
And you're a sparring partner of Barry Jones.
I am indeed. Well, I did spar with him actually.
Oh,
we were in the same
sorry,
gym.
yeah.
Right, so anyway, Steve, big fight, Chisora Fury 2, although it's advertised as Chisora Fury, right? Your thoughts about the fight coming up?
Really, really good fight. Both improved a lot since the last fight. I mean, Dell will certainly be in better shape. It's a really hard fight to call, but I'm a big Fury fan. I mean, he's got, I don't want to say he's the second coming of a Klitschko or a Lewis or an Ali or a great like you might think, but what he's got is world-class toughness. Right. And you know, and he's going to need that next weekend.
How much do you think Tyson could be overlooking Chisora based on the fact that they fought before? And I asked Tyson the question, you fought him before, but you fought the worst of him. Now you're going to fight the very best of him. How can you prepare for somebody you've beaten in your mind, the worst for? Now you're going to fight the best of him. How do you prepare for that psychologically?
Peter Fury won't let him be overlooking him at all. They're taking him serious. You know, you've heard at press conferences, yes. Peter, if anyone, has emphasised he's a much better fighter. Right. They're both much better fighters and they'll both be in better shape. At the time, I don't think Peter trained him for the last fight.
No, he didn't.
I think his uncle Huey was in the corner for the last fight. He's a better fighter as well. Derek's certainly a better fighter. You know, and you know, has mixed in better company on the world stage since then, albeit with mixed success. Obviously, the Hernandez fight, he was absolutely robbed in Helsinki.
Yes, absolutely.
It was, you know, despite what went on and he let himself down with his behaviour in Munich, it was a great performance against Vitaly Klitschko. And then the David Haye fight, and who knows what might have happened in that third round.
Yeah, what happened in that fight? Well, what was that about?
David was hurt in the third round, and then the bell came in, bell went, and that was it. Some say a little bit early, we don't know.
10 seconds early,
10 seconds early. I'm not getting involved in that. And then I'll let you say that. And of course, fair play. David come back and did the business with them left hooks in round 5.
Absolutely changed to southpaw, I believe.
Yeah,
through the left hook, and
that was it. And Derek made that one mistake, dropped his guard about that, a little half-inch, and in boxing, that little half-inch is a lot.
Derek's performances against the small guys, against guys that are height and a little taller, he's never been impressive against those guys. Yet the taller guys, those are the guys that Derek has done the best with. And the last time he fought a big guy, in my opinion, was Vitaly Klitschko.
And he did well that night. You know, he gets in, and it's very hard for these big guys to prepare for, because he's always got, I'm not going to say he's Joe Frazier, but he's got that style where the head's in, he rolls forward, throwing the left hook to the body and the right. And I think he's half them to prepare for. And this camp, he's brought in good sparring.
So I'm going to throw this out to both guys. If Derek Chisora were to stop Tyson Fury in the rematch, what do people think of Tyson Fury? Throw it to you first, James.
What do people think of him?
Yes. Or how would he be viewed around the world?
I think many people would say, if he was to be stopped, and let's get that right, that is a big if. If Derek was to stop Tyson Fury, but if that was the case, people would be saying that Tyson Fury is just another hype job. How he's been built up. And if he was to be stopped, it would look rather embarrassing with all the things that he comes out with. He does like to run his mouth, whereas Derek Chisora looks in fantastic shape, I must say, looking at him today at the press conference. But yeah, Tyson Fury, that would be a damaged ego if that were...
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
The one thing about Tyson, if he got stopped, for all his madness and where he kicks off and screams and hollers like we've seen today, he's the sort of guy, if he got stopped, he would put his hands up and say, I was beaten by the better man. I think that's instilled with him, that traveller gypsy mentality. If they get beat, they get up, they shake hands and dust themselves up and carry on. If ever he'd be viewed, if he got beat, for a start, in America it would be just another horizontal British heavyweight. Like they'd be saying that goes without saying. Every time a British heavyweight gets beaten, they always knew he was horizontal. They'd be saying, you know, he'd never beaten a world-class fighter. They'd point to when he'd been flawed in the past and the losses, and he was never that good. You know, because he's been beaten by Derek Chisora, who around the world is viewed as you know, you can say he's a world-class heavyweight because the company's mixed him, but someone who's fallen short at the elite level. It would certainly destroy Tyson's serious world title aspirations.
You mentioned there about the US market. Is the fight being beamed back to America?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it is actually. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say whether it is or what. I mean, it's certainly not HBO or Showtime or ESPN. Maybe there's those couple fringe who have come over here before who do some of the matchroom shows they've done. Maybe and they do take heavyweight fights, so maybe one of those have taken it, but not that I know of.
There is something always mentioned about Chisora fighting at the highest level and not, winning, but experience was key. Chisora got thrown into these fights 14, 15 fights.
Yeah.
How many top heavyweights take world title shots in this era, 14, 15 fights?
18, 19 fights he's
fighting
for European titles, Vitaly Klitschko. And, I don't think he started boxing until he was 16, Del Boy, so it's not as if, he's one of these guys like we see these guys fighting at weekends on the matchroom shows and Frank Warren shows, who've been boxing since they were 9 or 10. He started at 16, 17. I think he still won an ABA title as well, didn't he?
So, I think sometimes we look at that thing, but I think more, I think Chisora's fought better against the shorter guys now. He's fought Gerber, Parler, Malik Scott, who I thought Malik Scott would have beaten him. I put Malik Scott down to beat him. I really did.
I think they took it was a risky match, and I feel that he got too much stick for that, and there was too much criticism of that. I think Scott knew. Look, if you look at it initially, that fight, by the way, going back to that, it's a bit of a bugbear with me.
Yeah.
You see, Scott's corner weren't screaming when it was stopped. It was only afterwards it was screaming about the slow count.
He's looking back at his corner. I think his corner should have been communicating,
banging
banging on the canvas.
But
the thing was, if you're a Malik Scott, he was up at the count of 8, wasn't he?
I don't think he was up. Have a look at that again. I think he was very slow, and there was no big fuss from him either when it was soft. Have a look at it again.
We managed to get an interview with Malik Scott straight after the fight in his hotel room. And there were people on Twitter saying to me, "Oh, he threw the fight. He threw the fight. It was Frank Warren, this, that, the other." And we said, "No, it's nothing to do with that. Don't bring the promoter into it. Malik did not beat the count.
He did not. I don't think.
That's it. He beat the count. That's it.
He did not beat the count. He was not looking up. He was at the count of 10. He was not looking up with his guard up, prepared to box. I don't care anyone says whether he misjudged the count or what, but that is what he was doing.
He was on his feet, but he wasn't ready to continue.
He said he didn't. Malik said to me over Skype. He said to me, "I did not want to get up at a count of 8." Because Lennox Lewis he said his mentor got up against McCall too early. He didn't want to get up too early. So he said, if I ever went down in a fight like that and I got up, I'd get up as close as I could to 9.
He got up too late. He got up at 9 and a half and he wasn't ready at the box.
So, but his argument was the referee didn't count 10. He said, I got up at 9.
He wasn't ready to, but they weren't screaming. They were screaming about it afterwards. They must have somebody gone on Twitter and messaged balls and seen it. They weren't screaming in the ring. That's always a big thing for me.
So that fight is still a...
Not for me, it's not. I think he won the fight, and I think Derek was really coming into the fight. It's just a shame it wasn't been as conclusive, because I'm convinced Derek would have stopped him in the next round or two.
The Kevin Johnson fight.
Johnson's a really good heavyweight if he wants to be. Johnson's probably one of the most talented heavyweights out there.
Yes.
But he's got like a lot of American heavyweights, particularly we've seen over the years, that have come to Britain, Europe, travelled the world. You see the ability. They've got sparring partner mentality.
And they come here and just...
Kevin Johnson could have... Look, he isn't what he is because he hasn't gone and won the fights he should have done. But we've seen him before. He has got so much talent. But there's that sparring partner mentality in him, and he's a globetrotter. Wow. He is a globetrotter journeyman, high-end journeyman, but he could be so much better.
He loves the comfort zone too much, doesn't he?
He's in his comfort zone, and that's it. He doesn't want to push himself. If he could push himself 20% more in these fights, you might even be talking about an American world champion. 20%, it's a lot, but I think there's 20% there somewhere.
So, Derek and Tyson together now, and lots of talk about this fight. The loser, where does he go? They say, oh well. The loser, usually they say there's nowhere for him to go, but that's not quite true, is it?
I mean, look, it'd certainly be harder maybe for Derek because then, certainly harder for Derek than Tyson because he'd been beaten by Hernandez, Vitaly Klitschko, David Haye, and then Tyson Fury again. So it will be that, be the 5th defeat or whatever, and there'd always be wow, the guy that always falls short at the top level.
Right.
It would be, you know, there'd be fights for him, but it wouldn't be the big money fights. He'd have to go and score a massive win. You know, it'd be very hard for him, because it would mean virtually every big fight he's been in that's been marquee, he's come unstuck in. So it'd be really tough for him to get back there. And you know, it would take him 2-3 years to get back up there. Would he be willing to do that? I don't know. Tyson Fury, if he loses, look, we write off people too much after one defeat. At the end of the day, he's still a 25-year-old heavyweight. He can come again if he wants to. They can both come again, but it'll be a lot harder for Dereck. We won't forget, Tyson's only 25 years of age. That's young for a heavyweight in this era. Most of them fighting for world titles are in their 30s. Even Dell's pretty young for a heavyweight. But you know, the question mark against Dell isn't age, but how many times he's been beaten at the highest level.
Right.
And it depends how whoever does lose, the manner of defeat.
Hey.
If they do get knocked out heavily,
of course.
That's a longer rebuilding job. But it depends on how the manner of defeat goes. But for the loser, there's still plenty of good fights out there.
It is manner of defeat. You are right. Yeah. Because if it was points or a late stoppage and there was nothing close, I mean, you go back to the 50s. Was it Tyson mentioned this earlier? Was it LaMotta and Sugar Ray fought about 5 or 6 times? LaMotta only won once, but there was always good fights, so people wanted to see it. So you don't even write off a third meeting if there's controversy. Hey, you know, you look out there at the heavyweight landscape. Say, for example, the winner goes to #1 WBO, and they could be waiting another year, 18 months for a world title fight. It could happen. So what could be the biggest fight out there? A third meeting if there's controversy. If Dell wins and it's a close decision, what about a rubber match? How big?
Wow, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
If the money's there.
If the money's there, anything. And in boxing, it's all about, you know, at the end of the day, it's a business, and people overlook that. Because it's great, the glamour that comes with the titles. We've got to look at it as a business.
Let's talk about the guys just around the heavyweight division. Stiverne, rumoured to fight Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, I believe that when it sees it. I mean, but that's a good fight. He's not a bad fighter, Stiverne.
He isn't.
He's tough. I'll tell you what, he's as tough as they come. And I'll tell you what, he's pretty fearless. I saw him in Las Vegas. Wayne Mayweather against Mayweather's last fight. Maidana won. I saw him there. And him and Wilder were there. Yeah. And they got very, very tasty. And I'll tell you what, Stiverne was the one not backing down. Well, and that was only a week before his fight with Areola. So you imagine he's 8 days out for a world title fight, testosterone's coming out of his ears, and the man they're saying is going to bash him or Areola up is sitting in Starbucks as he walked past. Well,
Stiverne spoke to me, and he did an interview, and he said that Deontay Wilder's nothing. He said he's nothing, and Deontay Wilder heard it and he wasn't too impressed. Yeah. So
it's a good fight. You know what? You talk about the heavyweight landscape. I remember I was lucky enough to be covering all the heavyweight fights when Lennox Lewis dominated for a decade, and at the end of the day, he avenged both losses to me. You look at it, then you go back to the 90s, and we had Lennox Lewis dominating. And you know, there was come after Tyson, and there was Holyfield, and Bo could have been something. So he could have been what he could have been, but wasn't. It's tragic. But back then, you was dying for a white heavyweight to come along and boost it. And then now we've got these two Ukrainians have dominated it, right? I like them. I think they're good. I like Vladimir a hell of a lot as a guy.
I prefer Vitaly, to be honest.
I like Vladimir. Yeah, he's a bit more risky, but
I like him. He won the fight.
You know what? We're in an era now where we want a black American to come along. We want Deontay Wilder to come along and knock a few people out, because that would pick up interest in the heavyweight division in America. And you know what that means? The boxers earn more money.
Absolutely, absolutely. So who wins? Stiverne, Wilder.
You know what?
I'm going Stiverne.
You know, I wouldn't be shocked at Stiverne beating him. It wouldn't surprise. I think Wilder's got the power. Yeah. But Stiverne's got the toughness, and he's getting the experience now.
And he's got the power, and he's got a good amateur background as well.
And we saw in the Areola. Okay, I'm not saying Chris Areola's any great shakes, but we saw. Was it the 4th or 5th round in that last fight? How he dug deep and pulled that out. He had to dig deep, and he won. I like Stiverne maybe in that one as well.
I'm gonna disagree on that one. I'm going Wilder KO. He's got the power concussive knockout power, and I think he can do it.
But Wilder's not been hit back. He's not been
well,
hit back.
he's
And if we
untested,
go back to his amateur career, you know, you saw the guy that dropped him in his amateur career. We have to go about that, yeah. And he hasn't been hit back yet. You know, he hasn't been hit back yet, so we don't know. Stiverne's not going to stand there looking.
If he's in cleanly, he could. I mean, I'd like to see Wilder go and win a world title. I think it's better for the heavyweight division.
Exciting, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, it'd be great for the heavyweight division if Wilder won a world title.
One more fight, Bryant Jennings, a guy that I think is, I call him the second coming of Evander Holyfield, but just more defensively responsible, I call him. Fights Mike Perez.
Great fight.
What do you think?
The fight a lot. You know what? Perez has been training in London with Adam Booth and Gary Logan. I was with Gary the other night and we were talking about it in the studio the other night when the camera was off. He's going out there this weekend with Mike Perez, and I think they know that, he said he's going to show him the tape of the fight the other night between the fight we had on Saturday night between Canelo and Arislandi Lara.
Yes.
Show that you've got to do that bit more. They're trying to get that bit of devil into him to do that little bit more. That they know it's a big ask, but they've got Perez right, and he's not been one of these Cubans who lands in America next week and suddenly puts on 2 stone.
But psychologically, that fight he had against Mohammed,
the 12th round stoppage.
That psychologically and what's happened since. Will that play a mind?
I don't know. Only Mike Perez knows that. I don't know Mike Perez. I've seen him as a fighter. I don't know what he's like mentally. I know he's a very talented heavyweight. And I tell you what, Jennings is going to have to be at his best to beat him. If Jennings beats him well and impressively, Jennings deserves every match of a world title shot as Deontay Wilder. Because I don't think you could ever imagine Golden Boy matching Wilder
with Jennings
with Perez.
Well, that won't happen. I don't think
that would happen. And they're having this fight, and it's a good fight.
Jennings has got a legendary trainer, Fred Jenkins. He's trained a lot of great fighters out of Philadelphia. So he's got a good corner there as well. So I think it's going to be a great fight.
Hey, so has Perez got a good corner.
Yes, as well. Adam Booth and
Gary Logan,
of course.
But look, I mean, you've got to go with Jennings being at home, and we've seen how Cubans fight. And, but if he should take a lesson from Lara and realise you've got to do a bit more than throw single shots, because you say there's that. Maybe a bit more defensive than Evander Holyfield. Yes. He lets his hands go, Jennings.
Yes.
So Perez has got to let his hands go. Can't depend on single shots because he's not going to get a verdict.
So I've kind of gone with Jennings late, around 10th, 11th round stoppage.
Jennings points.
Okay, interesting yourself?
Yeah, Jennings for me,
There we go.
Unanimous.
I want to ask the other question, David Price. I have been very impressed with his comeback since he got knocked out by Thompson, which I think was a complete wrong fight for him in the first place. I don't think, styles, southpaws are good for Price.
Yeah.
Since his comeback, he's had the 2 fights under Tommy Brooks, and already you can see the technical adjustments that have been made with Price. And I think now he's actually fighting as a pro, as a pro should.
He's got a great trainer. Tommy Brooks is a brilliant coach. One of the, he doesn't get enough credit.
Exactly.
He's not one of these American trainers who goes around looking for the limelight. So perhaps that's why it doesn't come to him. But he's a very, very good trainer. He's done a great job with Price. He's tightened up that defence, which, we still don't know what's going to happen until we see David in another hard fight. But he's certainly done well in his couple of wins since he's joined the Sauerlands. But it's still a long way to go before we can start talking about David going back in at world level. I want to see him. He did 10 rounds the other week.
Yes.
Okay, people can say he didn't do. He didn't look great, but he's done 10 rounds. Something he's never ever got close to doing before. I think it's 7 was his.
There you go.
Was proved that's invaluable. But until we see him in a hard heavyweight fight, we won't quite know. But Tommy's done a good job with him. He's getting a lot of one-to-one time with Tommy, which he also got with other trainers, but he's got it with Tommy Brooks.
And he's an excellent trainer, so
excellent trainer. And also he's going to Sauerland's gym in Germany.
Yes.
For sparring out there in Berlin. I've been out there before, and it's you don't get it's not there isn't greats in there, but you get solid East European heavyweights.
We're going to get tough.
Good, and he's been sparring with Kubrat Pulev. He's done.
Pulev, got to talk about that, guys. Pulev, Klitschko finally.
Klitschko.
That's it.
I mean, I've seen Pulev before. He wins the fight for me. Pulev hasn't got enough to beat Klitschko. We'll keep him on that jab all night and win. a 12-round decision where it might have us all asleep, but he'll win every round on points. I don't see, he's just too big, and until you speak to, I spoke to Eddie Chambers about it, and until you actually see, you get in the ring with Klitschko, you don't realise the size you're up against for that reach, and Pulev, despite his great amateur pedigree, is going to find that.
James Ali Bashir made a point to me. He said to me, you know, it's not just about fighting Klitschko. It's your preparation. It's your team. It's more than just going up and rolling up and having a fight. You've got to have a whole.
They all have this game plan against Klitschko. They all have it, but they can never execute it. Until you get in the ring and face a guy, I think he's one of those guys you cannot prepare for.
And of all the heavyweights we've mentioned in this interview, not one of them beats Klitschko.
No, I still think, even at 36, 37, I think one of them could hit him on the chin. It would take, well, what happened when he went to Manny Stewart, he rebuilt him, a bit like David Price has been done. He rebuilt him and stopped him getting hit. They must have been known his chin isn't the best. So Manny's, you know, Manuel Stewart, great trainer, one of the greatest ever, the Kronk Gym, one of boxing's great success stories in centuries to come. People might not talk about Tommy Brooks, but they'll talk about the Kronk Gym.
They will do.
It was a hell of a gym. But you know, it wasn't rocket science what Manny done when you look at it. But that's what great trainers sing. They make things simple. He saw the tools he had and he made the most of them. And that's all Klitschko does, and Jonathan Banks has continued it. He's made the most of them. Of course you want to see a bit more devil in him sometime. And I'll never forget, I was in Dusseldorf when he fought Eddie Chambers. And Manuel was going mad for him, throw the right hand, throw the right hand. He threw one at the start of the 12th round and knocked Eddie out for 5 minutes. You know, well, he was out for about a minute, and he was out cold. You know, we want to see more devil, but I don't see a heavyweight in the world right now who can beat him. He will get caught on the chin again. He will get beaten one day. Someone will be in the right place at the right time. But there's not one heavyweight I would look at now and say he will defeat Klitschko confidently. There's people you think, well, he's got a chance he can get inside and land. But
Tyson Fury thinks he'll just go in and put one on him.
That's Tyson. Tyson's got great fighting pride, and you know, somebody will believe that. One thing I'll say about our British heavyweights, and they get criticised all over the world and stuff. But when they get in the ring to fight these guys, they go in there believing they can win. How many Americans have you seen fight a Klitschko in the last 12 years who've got in there not believing they're going to win? I think the first Tony Thompson fight against when he fought, he went 11 rounds. He turned up with the biggest entourage you've ever seen in Germany. They get in there, they didn't believe they can win. Thompson's second fight, you could see he got caught in the 5th round and he didn't believe he could win. One thing our fighters do when they go abroad, they will get in the ring believing they can win.
Yourself, any views on that?
Well, on the subject of heavyweights, that's what we're talking about. You can say WBC champion Ariola. Sorry, not Ariola. Stiverne. And we've got WBA with Chagayev.
Oh dear.
Which we won't go there.
You can go there with these regular titles, though you knock them. But you know what? They earn fighters good money. And I know we're all purists and we all want one champion, but we could beat on about that till. You know,
there's only one.
We're in a cinema. We could till the Judge 2 or Transformers 10 could come out, and Sin City 5 we could beat on about that. But
there's only one champion in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, there's only one champion, but I thought he was getting into that regular title thing there, James. I'll accept it. You go, there was a show the other night in Las Vegas where there was a regular title on the bill. It was, what fight was the first fight on the card the other night? I was getting £75,000 and £60,000 for a regular title. That could just easily have been a 10-rounder. They would have got $20,000 each.
Yeah.
So in that way,
it's a good thing.
And watching from Russia, Chagayev, that looked like an amazing event, I must say.
Brilliant event.
Brilliant, and they let everyone in for free. And,
they got a meal as well thrown in. The whole 35,000 crowd got a meal as well thrown in from the president. I'm not sure what Fritz Sudanek thought though when the president got by the end of the 11th round. Fritz was on the outside. I just give up here. He didn't look too chuffed, but you know, you start telling the president, you're not going to. You're not going to get in the corner. You won't be getting out of the country.
Chagayev Hay in Russia?
Yeah, we were thinking that Bunsen was. It wouldn't surprise me, but I think David's got to get a win or two first.
He's got to.
And then I think David will get a big fight, but I think he's got to get a win first.
He's got to turn up. Get in the ring and he's got to fight.
He's got to fight. He's got to have a couple
of wins. He's pulled that against Char and he's pulled that against Fury.
I'm a big fan of David. I've known him since he was at the Fitzroy Lodge, and I think with David, he's got to get in the ring and fight. And he's got to get public confidence back as well.
I'd love to see David fight in America. Las
I'd
Vegas,
love
MGM.
David in America, but he's got to get public confidence back in Britain first, because he wants to earn big money, the sort of money you earn, I can only earn on subscription channels or pay-per-view. And he's got to get public confidence, because people have been burnt by him 3 times since his last fight.
And to get that reputation back, he needs to be active. He needs to have busy fights.
And win the fans back, because at the moment, boxing fans, he might have the I'm a celebrity fan might still like him, but they don't buy boxing tickets.
Yeah.
Boxing fans got to like him.
He's burnt a lot of bridges, and a lot of people book hotels and all the rest of it.
Because he's David and he sells himself so well, they're bridges that can be mended.
Let's hope so. This has been BWTMONLINE TV with Steve Lillis and James Hernandez. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ingram.
Pleasure, Jane.
Thank you.